Hello, everyone. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 84. It's the day before Thanksgiving. It's a Wednesday. Thank you for joining
Mhm.
us. We're here to talk about pop culture things that we enjoy, and sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John, and I am joined once again, and as always, by Andrea.
Hello and happy Drinksgiving, our drinking holiday for the week.
Perfect.
Mm,
I mean, on the day of, what do
That's
you
right.
um, what do you got there for Drinksgiving? And are there like prerequisites or there stipulations to
To
Drinksgiving, or is it
Drinksgiving,
just like have at
Drinksgiving,
it?
have at it, enjoy your favorite festive fall cocktail.
Okay.
Yeah,
What's
just I mean,
yours?
I don't know what my favorite festive fall cocktail is. I feel like I'm still searching, but I did
Hmm.
make in the spirit, I made like a very I feel like autumnal seasonal drink. It's a spiced ginger pear bourbon.
Nice.
And it is very good. It's just a little bit of bourbon, a little bit of apple brandy, and then some simple pear syrup. And then I got
Okay.
a little like cinnamon stick stir in here to give it a little spice, and it is quite delicious. I will
That
not lie.
sounds good. Yeah.
Mhm.
Autumnal. I love that word. That's nice.
Autumnal, yes.
Autumnal. That sounds
I
good.
don't. So I don't know why, but sometimes it'll just pop into my head when I say that word, which I'm pretentious, so I say that word a ton. I'll also sometimes think of autumnal. That sounds like Mr. Tumnus from, Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, and then I feel silly. Like, "Mr. Tumnus,
I
tumnal."
I guess. I suppose so. That's his yeah, it's his relative, I guess.
It just,
Sibling.
like, pops in my head like that
Mhm.
little girl voice sometimes, saying like, "But this is Mr. Tumnus," as I say autumnal. I don't know why. I'm weird.
What do you think of that series? Book
That series.
form, movie series, Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
Narnia.
Um, I actually quite enjoy it, for being as, kind of heavily religiously themed as I think you can see it is. I
Mhm.
enjoyed it more. I felt like it was less than other people had maybe said it was going to be. Like the religious iconography was a bit less and a bit more muted into the story. I could still see it there, but it wasn't like as prominent. So I ended up enjoying the book series quite a bit more than I thought I would. I did not read them as a kid, to preface that. I read them solely as an adult. And I
Sure.
still enjoyed them. I don't know if maybe there's like some translational, like, I don't have that fond memory from my childhood. So I don't
Mhm.
love them quite as much as maybe like Chris does. I know it's one of his favorite book series, um, but quite good. Movies, hit and miss. It's it's tough. I liked the first one. I thought it was well executed. It was a little I think it was a little too heavy leaning on, like, the childish side, and
Okay.
I do tend to enjoy, either my adventure or fantasy epic a little more, like, adult, um, not like adult, like X-rated adult, but you know what I mean. But
I
yeah, it was
mean, whatever you say, Andrea.
yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm just revealing so many things on the podcast tonight. Um, Yeah, no, I liked the first one. I thought it was well done for what it was. The second was rough. It was I think pretty terrible. There were some
Is
poor
that
casting choices, poor
Prince
writing. Prince
Caspian?
Caspian, yeah. Don't get me wrong, I was definitely one of the many, many girls who thought Prince Caspian was super hot. And he
Sure.
totally is. But that doesn't save him from like a really, really horrific accent and some pretty wooden
Mm.
acting.
Hmm.
So, to be fair, not his fault. I don't think anybody in that movie really does like, an A plus
Right.
job in their acting game. But he was, I think, a particularly standout poor performance.
Wasn't that
Um,
someone noteworthy now?
Ben
That I
Barnes, you've seen him a couple
Oh,
of different places, Westworld. He's the son of the park creator and the best friend of, the Man in Black, the younger version, and then,
yeah.
he's also in Shadow and Bone.
Right.
He's the Darkling.
That's right. Yeah.
So, those are
Okay.
2 pretty notable places. I know he's been
And
in some
he
other
has
stuff as well.
performances in there, particularly in
Yeah,
Westworld.
yeah. Yeah, much,
So it's
much, much better. I mean, I don't know, what he's all done between there, between back in the day of Prince Caspian and now, but he obviously figured some stuff out.
mhm.
And then I did not, unfortunately, see Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Um, I'm kind of bummed about that. I feel like I should because I feel like Edmund was actually the only kid of the 4 that I enjoyed his performance.
Mm.
Enjoyed like that character's journey, so I should watch that.
That's right, this came up before. Alan mentions he's in Punisher and,
He's in Punisher?
like yeah, the
Wait.
Netflix one.
Okay, all right. I was like, which Punisher?
And I just remember it coming up on the podcast because we were talking in Shadow and Bone how our
Mhm.
view of the character was potentially colored one way or another based on the things we remember him in previously.
Right. Yep.
That's right. So that
Yep.
that's why only reason I thought like he's notable because we brought it up then.
Mhm.
So
Yep. Exactly.
everybody go back and watch our episodes talking about Westworld and
Talking Shadow and Bone. Yeah.
Shadow and Bone. Yep. So all right. Well, we're gonna be talking later in the episode. Speaking of like based on books fantasy series,
Mhm.
um, Wheel of Time now streaming on
Ooh.
Amazon Prime.
Mhm.
So the first 3 episodes are currently available on said streaming service. We've seen all 3, and we're gonna
Yes.
talk about them all spoilery like, but later in the show. So, first we'll, give everybody an update, what we've been up to, and talk a little bit of news.
Mhm.
So, other than making fabulous cocktails, um, been watching, playing, reading, doing anything
Yeah.
else in this week?
Yeah. So I've watched a few things. Some only parts and one thing in full. I did I wasn't planning on it, but I ended up binging the entire Netflix limited series called Maid.
Hmm,
Maid, not Made. Um, and that was really excellent. It was a really
okay.
quality show. So it's about a young single mother um, who escapes an abusive relationship with her daughter, not with her daughter, but escapes the abusive relationship and takes her daughter. Um, and then it's sort of like navigating, I left with nothing. Like, how do I build myself and my daughter a life?
Mhm.
And it's played the main character is played by Margaret Qualley, who is the real life daughter of Andy McDowell, who plays her mother in the show, who is both an
Oh,
artist and has undiagnosed bipolar disorder and is just like, I think, a really excellent performance by Andy McDowell.
okay.
Excellent performance too by Margaret Qualley, but I think Andy McDowell has a little more room to like play with her character.
Sure.
Would highly recommend the show. It's very, very good.
Hmm.
Um, Trying to think the other main character in there, the guy who plays,
Swan
the main
Robinson.
characters. Yeah, Nicholas Robinson? Is that the main guy?
Um, let's see. Yep, Nick Robinson. Yep.
Nick Robinson? Yeah. So you might remember him from Jurassic World, which is
Yes, that's
one
right.
big one that I remember him from. I know he's been in
Okay.
some other stuff that he's got one of those faces where I'm like, "Oh, it's you," and then I forget it immediately
Sure.
afterwards. But yeah, really solid performances by everybody in that cast and a good show.
Nice.
Yeah, that was fun to watch. And then I watched the first 2 episodes of Arcane. Really enjoying that so far.
Okay.
Um, I know nothing about League of Legends, so
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody who's played the game is like, "Nope, this is terrible," or if they're on board too. I mean, if the ratings are anything to go off of, I think everybody's really enjoying the show, and I know
Yeah.
there's already been a 2nd season ordered, so I think whether you're a fan of the game or not, it's done well. Um,
Mhm.
but like I said, I'm enjoying it immensely. So
Nice.
yeah, can't wait to keep
I
continuing that.
yeah, I definitely plan to get to that one. I, I too no history with League of Legends, but
Hmm.
everybody's raving about it. Like you say,
Hmm.
player, non-player, whatever. So
Yeah, it's a big month for Haley Steinfeld, who voices one of the main characters in Arcane, and now today, of course, the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye on Disney Plus dropped. So
Yeah.
she's having quite the month. Obviously TBD on whether Hawkeye is a big hit like Arcane is, but
Right.
right now she's 50-50. So
Yeah.
good job.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I watched, I know you're gonna hate that I say it, but I did. I watched it. I watched the full first episode of Bebop,
Okay.
Cowboy Bebop. Um,
The Netflix one. Yes.
yes, Netflix live action Cowboy Bebop. I watched the entire first episode. Definitely have some thoughts, good and bad, about it, and definitely some things I was surprised I liked. Um, Danielle Pineda's Faye Valentine. Shocked I liked that characterization. I From the trailers, I actually expected her to be worst, and me to be the most annoyed, and not the case watching the actual show. So, um, and I still don't know that the show overall, like, lives up to the original, but I think her performance is very solid. Um, and other things I was surprised by were I did not like the actor who plays Jet Black. He is the he I
Interesting.
have now after watching the anime, I have a very specific, like, attachment to, like, the kind of voice I feel like Jet Black should have,
Mm.
and his voice is wrong. Not his
Hmm.
looks are wrong, not the way he's acting, nothing about that. It's literally just the way his voice is.
Hmm. I've heard
So
the
it's
complete opposite about those characters.
really
Yeah, they're like, "I
I
can't
don't know.
stand any cringe." Like, every line Faye says is cringe, and then the Jet Black is, like, the closest embodiment of the show's character,
See, I
minus,
totally
like, what
agree,
you can do with the
embodiment.
script, like, like, the
Well, right,
script
yeah, I
is what
mean,
it is, but
you can't make the words different even if you make them
Mhm.
sound different. I feel like he embodies the character, totally agree. I just have, like, a very specific attachment now to, like, that voice from the anime. And I
Yeah.
watched the
No,
dub, so it is in
it's
English.
yeah,
It's just very distinct in my brain, and it just, like, kinda breaks me a little bit when I, like, hear this guy talk, and I'm like, it's not the same, it's not right."
it is
And
a
I don't know why I
specific
don't.
voice, that's for sure,
Yeah. I just don't
but
feel the same way when I hear, like, John Cho or Danielle Pineda talk. Like, it's
okay.
just not as discongruent in my mind.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
but yeah,
Sounds good.
I'm gonna keep watching to see how I feel in future
Sure.
episodes. So, we'll see. Obviously won't belabor it too much because I know you're not gonna watch it, but
Mhm.
I'm willing to, like, creep along until something happens that really turns me off.
Well, if you watch it and you decide that you wanna talk about it, then,
Mhm.
you can certainly give your thoughts. Because yeah, I thought about, I've over the months of, slandering this show or whatever, I've, gone back and forth whether I watch it or
Wait,
not, and I'm
what?
just like
You don't like it?
I
Sorry.
just
I couldn't
yeah.
resist.
I don't know if I was talking to Ashley about this or on the podcast, but I love Death Note,
Mhm,
and I didn't pay any second minds to the Death Note anime or live action version on Netflix.
mhm,
I love Full Metal Alchemist. There's a live
mhm.
action version of that. I also didn't watch that. Like, these things just don't interest me because I enjoy the original, and never has it happened thus far that a live action version, particularly one from Netflix, has
Mhm,
brought anything beneficial
mhm.
or improved upon the original. Just hasn't happened. It's never looked like it was gonna happen, and then it hasn't happened.
Right.
And so this one got to me because it showed up on my newsfeed so much, because it's the
Mhm.
biggest one to be done so far. It's
Totally.
the
Totally.
cultural phenomenon at the time, got a lot of people into anime, and so, and a few higher profile actor in it, John Cho. And so it was just in the news, but I
Yeah.
kind of realized, like, I never gave two shits about the other ones, and
Mhm.
so I'm not good on this one either. Um,
Yeah. I get that. Like, the one I was thinking of, that I almost tried and then I got too scared because I love the anime so much and I really don't want it ruined, was Erased. I
oh yeah,
loved that anime, and then I saw they did a live action, and I was so tempted to watch it. And then I just thought, like, No, I can't.
Erase
Because
is
what if it's
perfect.
bad? It is,
Erase
it's
is
so
perfect.
good. I was
It
so into
does.
that show and I binged it so fast. It was so excellent. And I just feel like I'm gonna be let down.
Mhm.
And maybe this is the way, like, you feel about Bebop, times 10, I think. But yeah, I could just never I almost started it so many times and I could never do it.
Yeah. It's just not worth it. Like, it's not going again, you would hear about it if it's like, wow,
Right, if it was so good, yeah.
this really took an already amazing thing and just shot it to another level.
Mhm.
Like, incredible. You'd hear that. It would
Right,
be apparent. And that's never been the case.
right.
Some people, again, some people are going to be more, uh, like, more willing to sit down and watch a live action show than an animated one. So for
Sure.
you, that you're not going to watch the animated version, then here you go.
Mhm.
Here is a replica, an imitation of whatever that you might enjoy. So,
Yeah, yeah, I feel like I'm probably more willing to watch this for 2 reasons. 1, I hadn't watched Cowboy Bebop before this. I mean, I've obviously now finished the animated series,
yep. But you
but I
just watched it.
hadn't
Yeah.
exactly, I had no, like, time to, like, really, like, develop that, like, deep, like, love of it. I do really love the series. I think they're, obviously in any show, there are episodes that are better than others, but there was, like, a
Hmm.
string right in the middle that, like, really just, like, gripped me, and I thought was just, like, 4 or 5 episodes in a row that were just so, so good. Um, but I didn't have, like, time to really develop that connection, so and, like I've said before, I like John Cho, I'm intrigued by this project for him, so I was more willing to give it a shot. Can't say that that's, like, super paying off. I'm not sure that I really love the show. I think, like I said, there are some good pieces that I was surprised by. I will give props, I think, to the setting. They do some really cool, like, outer space shots. They
Sure.
really do. Um, they've spent some good money there, and things look cool. Does that make an entire show, and does it make it good? I don't think so, but there's some cool elements.
Yep. Yeah, the nail was put in the coffin for me as some
Mm,
people talked about it and I saw some clips and different things from it and was like, "Oh man, I'm glad I
mhm.
didn't give it a shot." Do you remember um the couple episodes without like spoiler descriptors of it that you were saying
Sure.
was a really good run in the middle of the original Bebop?
Yeah, I really liked, Jupiter Jazz. There
Yep,
was, like,
the
a little
two-parter.
two-part. Yeah,
Mhm.
I really liked that. I liked My Funny Valentine, where we go back into phase
Yep.
past a little bit. I thought that was
Mhm.
good. God, I'm trying to remember the couple of other episodes that I just thought were Oh, I liked meeting Ed for the first time, and
Okay.
um, that sort of, the, like, what was that? Like, the computer that was alive a little bit, the satellite that they were
Yep.
meeting
That's right.
also.
Yep, drawing the shapes and
Um,
stuff, yep.
yep. And then I loved Heavy Metal Queen.
Okay.
That was the
Mhm.
trucker episode,
Mhm.
and Ganymede Elegy, where we get
Yeah.
to dive a little bit into Jet Black's whole past.
Yep.
Like, just that run kind of in the middle there, I just
Mhm.
not that others weren't good, and I really enjoyed them, but I just thought, like, some of those were really excellent episodes.
Yeah, I think all the ones where they dive into someone's and one of the characters' past, it's all these characters that are, they're all broken,
Mhm.
and we get to see. I mean, it's not new, but we get to see how that is, where they come from. Even Ed's
Mhm.
past, I like a lot as well.
Yeah.
That episode is
Yeah.
good, but I think if it's My Funny Valentine, if it's the one I'm thinking of, there might be another one. There's like 2
There
Faye Past ones that I think are maybe the best episodes. Um, but
yeah. Speak Like a Child is the other one.
yes.
I had to look
Yep,
it up. Um,
yep, I like that one a lot.
I do too. Yeah,
So,
there was just there. really amazing stuff there. And like I said, I mean, there were some episodes that I was just like, that was good. That was a well
Mhm.
done episode, but it didn't just like grab me the way that some of these did. And it was just
Yep.
kind of like normally I feel like a show falls off in the middle, and it was just so different for me to like be gripped like that in the middle.
Sure. Mike is in the chat and says, "Happy Thanksgiving, y'all."
Happy Drinksgiving, Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yep.
Don't
And
at me, Mike.
should be drinking water, he says. Fitness trainer says drink water.
I
So I do drink a lot more water these days. Like
do
I
as
will
well.
just like if I drink if I don't drink any water, I'm getting a headache, side aches, all this stuff when I'm working out. So
Oh
lots more
man,
water.
that's what
So
happens in your 30s, man.
is it? That's a thing in the 30s. I mean, I guess I don't remember that from being a kid, but I didn't like actively exercise as a kid either. It'd just be
But you
running
think about,
around
like
or something.
yeah, but you think about how much you exercise as a kid just, like, not consciously. You're just,
Right.
like, constantly in motion, exercising your
Mhm.
body, but just not in, like, a focused way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess hockey as a kid, and that was
You played
pretty
hockey?
intense. Just like at the public rink.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You didn't do, like, actual, like,
We
seasonal,
didn't
like, team
have
hockey?
no, we didn't have,
Okay.
our school wasn't big enough to have hockey, but we yeah,
I was gonna say
there's a
that
few
that would be a
years.
major revelation for me. I was like, I would not have guessed you'd be into team hockey.
Yeah, we had some good years. There's a few years where the weather was right for the ice and they kind of took care of it, and a bunch of kids showed up pretty consistently. And
Okay.
so we would play quite a bit, and then my it was fun because my dad is really good at hockey, and so he'd be skating circles around everyone and
Mhm.
teaching people how to play some and whatever. So
That's cool.
that was yeah, it was good. Now they don't take much care of the ice usually. They just kind of blast the water up in the hose there, and it's all uneven, and then they just set it and forget it. So yeah. Okay, well, you got a lot in a few days here, and what do we have an
Well,
episode just on Sunday yet? I forget. So
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, not too long ago, but I see your list is even longer. So, you must have been
yeah.
doing nothing
Well, a
but
bunch of my
watching
list is
and
just me like solemnly swearing I'm never gonna watch Cowboy Bebop, so that makes it look longer. Um, but yeah, Wheel of Time, squeeze all in. We're gonna talk about in a bit here.
Yep.
Just a few episodes of My Hero Academia again. I think I'm in season 3. It's still consistent. It's still good. I I can't recommend that one enough for a casual but motivating shonen
Sure.
kind of anime. Um, Kin, I got in just I think one more episode of that. It's the
Okay.
Irish show on AMC Plus with Charlie Cox
Right.
and
Right.
Littlefinger and a
Mhm.
woman that's actually we just found met in season or episode 3 of Wheel of Time, the gypsy leader
Oh,
lady.
her.
Hmm.
Okay, so I also recognized her. She's in The Tudors. She's Henry's first
Mm,
wife, Catherine of Aragon.
okay.
And I was just like, "Hey, like, it's been a while. You
Yeah.
used to be a queen, and now you're a gypsy."
Hey, it's a new life experiences.
That's right, that's right.
Um, I mentioned I picked up Ghost of Tsushima again a little bit.
Yeah.
Recorded some more clips of that. I try to like start a record and then so if like ever talk about on the show, I can show that. But I always die during the epic battle or something. So then I do it again and eventually get it. But it's like, oh, I wish this could just look cool and good through the first time.
Yeah.
So um, yeah, and I've been dipping into some manga again.
Sure.
Um, Sutomo Nihei is like his all his work is just my thing. I read the first volume of Biomega. I don't know if I'm gonna like that one as much.
Mhm.
If Blam being my favorite manga, but
Right.
um, yeah, and I'm caught up on his current one, Apple Sims. I don't know if that's how you say it. There's not a new volume coming until February or something like that.
Okay.
So yeah,
Nice.
lots of stuff getting in there.
Yeah. Your interests are diverse.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think so. I'm a hodgepodge of a person. So, all right. News before we get
Mhm.
to Wheel of Time. Sticking to a lot of video game things here.
Right?
Um, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Mhm.
For listeners, you're aware that I like this game, Horizon Zero Dawn. Yes, by Guerrilla Games, and there's a new one coming in February called Horizon Forbidden West. And leading up
Mhm.
to that, they're doing a podcast,
Mhm.
Horizon Gaia Cast, and they released their first episode this week. I think it was Tuesday, I think. Um, and it was good. It's all about the our main protagonist. This episode is going to be covering different categories each week. Next week, or I shouldn't say week. I don't know if it's weekly or monthly. I don't know what the release cadence here is here, but
Sure.
I'd like it to be often. So I
Sure.
enjoyed this. They talk about how they made the game and the different thoughts that went into the different decisions they made and all that. So
So it's like a preview, kinda like teaser a little bit behind the scenes,
I wouldn't
get
say
ready
it's
for
a
the
I wouldn't say it's a preview really because they also released a new PlayStation blog. They do on their blog posts that's kind of going over elements of the upcoming game. So they go
Okay.
over the new machines and the new locations and the detail they put in each of those. And I've been liking those a lot as well. Again, I'd rather see this kind of thing than the hey, tune in for our live whatever and then we don't show
Right.
much of anything. So
Right.
this is separately kind of like looking back, talking about the world of
Okay.
Horizon in general, talking
Okay.
about lore. Like the next episode is supposed to be covering kind of past events that occurred before the game, kind of how we
Mhm.
got there, filling in some context there. And
Okay.
so, um, if they talk about what's to come yet, they haven't really, and I don't think they will. I think it's just going to be in general the world of Horizon. So,
Sure. Okay.
but yeah,
That's actually kinda nice.
yeah,
Doesn't put too much pressure on them to, have, new content, you know,
right,
the way
yep,
that you were saying about, we feel about so many live events. It's like, "Oh, I'm so
yep.
let down. This was supposed to be new."
hmm Well, it's they ask questions like Aloy's parent in this game, like why did you ever consider this for this character, or was this
Sure.
always the way it was going to go, and that kind of thing. That sort of insight. And then it's kind of like, when you're writing something, you're world building, not all of that you do gets recognized by the reader, the player, the watcher. You
Mhm.
wrote it there. You have the backstory, you have the whatever, but it's not it's like playing D&D. I write this very detailed long thing about this character that probably no one is ever going to find out
Mhm.
unless they're weird and unless they're asking very personal questions or something or
Sure.
whatever. But it's context that someone could ask to better understand or whatever. And so,
Well,
yeah.
if I ever join in on a game, I will ask you. Be ready.
Okay. Yeah. It's fun to see people like there's levels. It's fun to see people try to like wreck the DM,
Sure.
stump them and stuff.
Sure.
So, in more gaming news, what's
Mhm.
this? Pokemon or
So,
Pogo player.
yeah, yeah, this came out of, left field. No advertisements about it, just, surprise, Pokemon Go is partnering with Ed Sheeran, and he's gonna do a live in-game concert. It was a couple of nights ago. I did not unfortunately get to tune in, being the solo parent for my darling daughter. But I heard good things about it. It was just, kind of a fun mashup of some of, classic Ed Sheeran tunes and some new things that he's been working on. So I guess maybe it was like a unique way for him to highlight his music,
Right.
question
Yeah.
mark.
hmm
Um, So yeah, so that happened in the game. They're having like a special event where you can catch sunglasses Squirtle, which hasn't been available
Oh,
in the game. Yep, it hasn't been available in the game
wow.
since like 2017 or 18, I think.
Oh, I didn't remember
Because
he was before.
yes, it was a
Alright, okay.
very, very limited one-day event,
Okay.
and Chris and I were just talking about how difficult it was to actually, like, go get him. We, like,
Mhm,
literally were running around the Mall of America, like,
mhm,
literal running, to get like, people would be like, "It's over here," and then, like, everybody would just, like, shift to one side of the mall, and it
mhm.
was chaos and very fun. But so he's back now because apparently that's Ed Sheeran's favorite starter Pokemon. So they decided to bring him back. And then as you're playing the game, they have nixed the normal background music and are instead playing like a medley of Ed Sheeran tunes in the
Oh,
background.
no. I don't know about that one.
They're all instrumental, so it's not
Okay.
like weird lyrics just like happening.
Yeah.
Um, so it's kind of okay and kind of very disconcerting.
I don't remember, it was
So,
one song, something about, like, all over my body or something like that. It's
yeah.
like just, like, catching Pokemon to that,
Right, I
yeah.
know. It's okay because they don't have the words. It's at least instrumental. But yeah, it's
Oh,
kind of
man.
weird, but whatever. Like,
Yeah, I mean, he
I
was in Game of Thrones. Ed Sheeran likes to just, pop up
you
in
know,
things.
yeah, and why not? Let's just, let him do
Mhm.
some random stuff. I think it's good for Niantic because they're unfortunately obviously closing down and shuttering the doors on their Harry Potter game. I feel
Yeah.
like maybe they sort of felt like they needed a little like, we've still got
Mm.
Pokemon Go. Like everybody, come over here, look at this cool new thing. And I mean, I know obviously like live concerts and games are not new. They're starting to, become a little bit more widespread. Like there's
Yep.
been several of those we've talked about in Fortnite. So
Yep.
yeah. So this
So,
was
did you have to go
Pogo's
to a
attempt.
certain spot to,
Nope,
like,
nope, just
just
opened up your game and it was happening.
hmm.
Yep, because I
See,
remember
I
getting a notification and I was like, "It is my daughter's bedtime." Like, "Sorry."
Ed Sheeran can lull her to sleep.
Lull her to sleep talking about his body.
Yeah.
Or
Hopefully, he's
scar
not
her for
talking about
life.
his body, someone
Either
else's body.
one,
I don't know.
whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, interesting. See, I like, though, I mean, that's fine, but for a game that's an augmented reality game, I would rather see you have to go to, like, a
Right,
gym,
right, that would be
or
cool.
something to
Yeah, go to,
just
like, a special location, go to a park
yeah,
or,
right.
you
Mhm.
have to be within how many feet of a
Yeah.
Pokestop or a gym
So
or
if you wanna sit
whatever.
in your car, if it's
Yeah.
cold, whatever, that's fine, but
Yeah.
you're close enough. But, I mean, they're gonna want eyes. Ed Sheeran's gonna do this. They want as many eyes on it as possible, so
Yep. And we'll
but
see, if in the summer if they felt like this went well, maybe in the summertime they'll have like, you know, an event where you do have to like go outside
mhm.
or go to a gym or go to something and make it a little
Yep.
easier.
Mm.
But yeah, it was kind of
Okay.
cool. It
Yeah.
just like I said, came out of left field. There was like no advertising, and suddenly they were like,
Yeah.
"Hey, Ed Sheeran's here." And I was like,
Right.
"Cool."
So
Ed Sheeran knows what Pokemon Go is.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, he's like, "What's your favorite starter Pokemon, Ed Sheeran?" "Pikachu." "Wrong answer. It's Squirtle. We
Nope.
wanna do
Yeah.
that one."
Exactly. Let me tell you what your favorite starter Pokemon is.
Yeah. Alright, we'll stick with, the kind of, you know, dare I use the buzzword, Metaverse.
Ooh,
Um, like, I know Pokemon Go isn't, but
yeah.
I can see the want for that at some point. We talk about Fortnite concerts or whatever, fake
Yep.
worlds. Um, Xbox has been celebrating
Mhm.
their anniversary,
They
20th
have.
anniversary. I think it was on the 15th officially, and they have had a slew of things besides their big day of stream. They've had some interviews. Major Nelson's interviewed Phil
Mhm.
Spencer, and there's discounts in the shop. A couple of the more interesting things to me was the Xbox Metaverse, I guess, Xbox Museum, I believe it's called, and you
Okay.
can log on and kind of run around this digital space, exploring your kind of, it's sort of a personalized Xbox history slash your history with Xbox kind of thing. So like
Okay.
telling you the game you played most and where you got most achievements and those kinds of things when you started,
Interesting.
all that, along with like callbacks to different important parts in Xbox's history. So
Sure.
a while back, I think it was days after or whatever, Facebook announced their metaverse, Meta. Microsoft did the same thing as well, and so this feels like an attachment or like a realization of a piece of that or something.
Mhm.
So, um,
Interesting.
are you pumped for the metaverse, Andrea? This is
Like
like adjacent to our
Facebook's
like kind of topic.
metaverse?
Well, just in general, you know.
I don't know that I am.
I
Mostly
mean,
because I feel like it's just sort of like still not really a defined thing.
okay. I mean,
Do you know what I mean? I just don't know what it's like looking like.
well, it's a buzzword right now, but it's kind of interesting because I was telling some people earlier today, back on the PlayStation 3, they had a thing called like PlayStation Home. And you'd
Mhm.
log on, you create your own avatar, and you have like an apartment or something, and you can kind of
Mhm.
decorate it or whatever. And you walk out of your place, and there'd be other people, and I don't remember what you could all do, but you could walk around. I know there was a theater. You could go in the theater and watch movie trailers. And so there'd be other people around you, and you'd watch movie trailers for probably Sony shows that were coming or whatever.
Sure.
And so it's like not a new concept, basically, to be living in a virtual space, have a
Yeah.
second life. I think there's even a service called Second Life or whatever, but um, I don't know. Everybody's trying to push it now. And I think it's interesting because we haven't gotten any technology advancements to make it worth the push now, you
See,
know?
that's what I'm saying, like, so what are we gonna do with, like, is there actually something behind, creating these different things like meta and metaverse? Or is this just like we're anticipating coming in like 5 years? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
is this like of the now or is this like of the far future?
I mean, I think everybody wants to get in early and create the tools and have the platform that eventually will be much more alluring when we have like nice headsets that you just throw on and it's a very convincing environment to be
Mhm.
in, you know. Um it's still not all that different than someone having a house in Skyrim and spending a lot of time in Skyrim with your customized character or World of Warcraft or
Mhm.
whatever, you know.
Yep.
Um and to me these things like I don't know. I mean, a person has Animal Crossing and takes care of their house in Animal Crossing. People love that. So you can see that someone will be in a virtual thing that's more realistic and has an avatar that represents them more specifically to
Yeah.
like that you can furnish a second house and then like, you know, go jump off cliffs and stuff and do crazy things.
I mean, yeah, but also like I feel like part of some of the fun of Animal Crossing is like it's not so much your life.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? Like part of the fun
Yeah.
of it is that it's different and it's not like I've created a second me and
Right.
everything looks real world. Like I don't need a real world in my real world. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? Like I would rather
Yeah.
have an Animal Crossing that's like something totally different.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, and then Microsoft wants to use this to like, so if you're working from home, then you can have your digital avatar, and it's like you're in the office with other people, and but it
But
looks
you're
so
not.
hokey. Yeah, but you're not
But you're
exactly.
not.
And if it looked like you, like it was a holographic projection, and it was simple and easy, that might be different.
Right.
But it's not. It's some floaty, silly cartoon thing that's supposed to be marketing this for business. That's not
Wasn't
supposed to be
Yeah,
silly
wasn't there like an interview that was conducted recently with this technology or something's like super similar and it was just like the most ridiculous looking thing. It was like God, I want to say like Gail King and somebody did like a
Mm,
virtual interview and it just looked like the most ridiculous thing. They were just, like, sitting there with their little, like, headsets together, and, like, they were together, but they weren't together. They were together in the digital
Okay,
space, and it
okay.
looked, like, absolutely
Mhm.
ridiculous. I don't know. Maybe Alan can find what I'm talking about, but it was just, like, everybody just, like, ripped on it because they were like, "This doesn't look real. It looks silly, like, you're not actually together, but you're pretending like you're together.
Right.
Like, please
Mhm,
stop filming this. It is very
mhm.
weird." I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just it's interesting, to me as a tech person, but I think that this isn't going to matter until we can until we're like Sword Art Online or Ready Player One
Sure.
or take your pick, where you would have an implant from Elon Musk and you'd load up an experience on
Right
your
up here,
phone.
yeah.
Yep. And then you just lay back and you'd feel like you're there. You're in
Oh my
this
god.
space.
Sorry, I found it because it was bothering me. It is Gayle King and Mark Zuckerberg. They
Oh
literally had, like,
no,
a
that's
s
gonna be that
yeah.
would be terrible no matter what.
It
Mark
was so
Zuckerberg.
it was so awful, everybody it was, like, just this year, it was, like, in August, and
Okay.
everybody was like, "Why are you doing this? Please stop it." Like, it's terrible. Yeah. Okay. I feel better and vindicated now that I found it
Yeah,
out.
yeah. You forgot the alien lizard person that she was talking
I
to.
He's
Yeah.
just so forgettable. Come at me, Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not afraid.
Yeah. So anyways, that's an aside. I spend a,
Sure.
a a portion of the morning discussing the metaverse and implications and whatever, and so I just thought
Sure.
it's kind of tangential to what we're talking about here, so
Absolutely.
Um, more video game stuff. The Golden Joystick Awards of
Mhm.
2021. I've heard about the
Yes.
Golden Joystick Awards, but I added a little snippet in the notes because I it's always interesting who decides these things.
Mhm.
And this is a fan voted, originally voted by just the fine people of the British Isles of
Yeah.
England and the UK. But now it's just online and anyone can do it. And so there's a list of winners for these
Mhm.
categories.
Mhm.
Um, some have you got to look through at all the
I
kind of list of
did.
winners here?
I
Anything kind of
did.
stand out as surprising that you hadn't thought of, or as oh
Uh,
yeah, that makes sense.
Ultimate Game of the Year.
Ultimate or oh yeah,
Ultimate Game of the Year.
you were just saying
Yep.
last
I
week I
was
think.
Yeah,
'Cause we were talking
about the
about
Game
the Game
Awards.
Awards nominations, right.
And I was shocked that Res Evil Village was in there. I just
Mhm,
wasn't expecting it. I mean, and I don't mean to hate on it because it sounds like I am because I loved playing it and I love Res Evil. So I'm like just sort of shocked that like other people loved it that much. Do you know what I
right.
mean? Like sometimes you can't get past your own bias. You're just like, well, nobody likes it because, like
Mhm.
I'm so into it or whatever and like, you just don't think other people are. So I was just like, ultimate game of the year out of the many games that came out, like the
So,
Resident Evil Village was it.
so I had some questions when I
Sure.
saw some of these, and when I looked up, uh, that it's just a public vote, and especially that it has the tradition of being in the UK, it all made sense. All of a sudden, it
Sure.
made sense because what Ultimate Game of the Year means as Resident Evil Village, and also PlayStation Game of the Year as Resident Evil Village means that's just what most people bought. Resident Evil Village
Oh,
is the biggest Resident Evil
okay.
game in the series. Resident Evil is doing very well. Resident Evil Village was huge compared to
Okay.
other Resident Evil games.
Okay.
And the
I
biggest
get it.
system right now is by far and away, like of new stuff, is the PlayStation 5.
Right. Totally
So,
get that.
yep. So PlayStation 5 also won Hardware of the Year.
Yes, I saw
Um,
that.
which
That also says, though, best. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like
yes.
ultimate and best are, like, slightly different enough to not
Yeah.
be, like, necessarily best.
Okay. Yeah. I
Because
mean,
otherwise you would just say
ult
best. Like, why do you say ultimate?
right. Yeah. Mhm.
So, like, does that really mean, like, it's the best game of the year, or, like, is it the ultimate game of the year because it's, like, maybe it wasn't, like, totally my best playing experience, but, like, I was pumped for it, there was a lot of hype, there were good trailers, like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, the gameplay experience was what I wanted, like, I know they said best performer here was, Maggie Robertson, the lady who played,
Which
Lady Dimitrescu,
no.
and I was like,
No.
"Okay."
What per I mean, like, that's a limited performance,
It really
right?
is, like, I would totally give it up for, like, best limited performance. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? If there was some sort of
sure.
way to say, like, limited or supporting or whatever.
Supporting role,
Uh,
yeah, something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, very interesting. I mean, not that her character wasn't cool, and
Right.
not that this, like, wasn't a good job, like, a well done job, but, like, best performer?
I mean, I
I
bet
don't know.
one of the actors for Deathloop was better. They just
Yeah.
had more to chew on, you know?
I was gonna say, is
Best
Deathloop
storytelling,
even in
Life is
here?
Strange. Yes, Deathloop is in here for Critics' Choice
Critics'
Award.
Choice. Yep, there I see
Yeah.
it. Yep, yep.
So,
Sorry.
that makes sense. That got a lot of high scores.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just, what do what do you think? It's tough between when you're doing awards, obviously, it's best to just not take them too seriously, but that balance
Right.
between, um, fan voted, which
Yeah.
obviously is just gonna be, again, what the most people played.
Right.
Because or critic voted, which is theoretically more um,
Mhm.
meaningful, but critics don't
Yeah.
sell games either. So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, they
or movies or
obviously can
whatever.
influence, but they don't, yeah, they
Hmm.
don't sell games. Um, I feel like it's a fun thing to do. I mean, we have things like the People's Choice Awards for, like,
Uh-huh.
television and movies and whatnot, and, like, those are very important. Like, not only do I think, the general audiences sometimes have different opinions that you can argue right or wrong, or, like, what was that choice or whatever, and sometimes they align. But, it's also an important indicator of, for, like, these industries, for what they people want to see, what people are interested in, and what people
Hmm.
are going to buy. So, maybe we don't always agree, but they are nonetheless obviously a gauge of, like, okay, where did my stuff land?
Yep. Right. Yep.
So it obviously influences, things that are going to be made.
Hmm. Well, I definitely will agree with probably from whatever best indie game, Death's Door, best studio or studio of the year,
Sure.
Capcom. I'll agree with
Sure.
those things. I thought the ultimate game of all time and ultimate
Dark
hardware of all
Souls.
time are very strange. So Dark Souls, firstly, I think, I mean, ultimate game of all time. I think a lot of people would say that they probably like Dark Souls 3 better than
Okay.
the original. Alan, you can tell me if I'm off base with the community, I, you know, idea there. But
Sure.
now maybe they just mean that to them, Dark Souls is very the original. It's very influential, and so
Sure.
that's why that one deserves it.
Well, and it's hard to know, like, what are the parameters
Hmm.
without, I guess, knowing, for me, like, how do they, like, put, ultimate
The
game of
verbiage
all
of
time?
the yeah.
The question, like, was it literally
Hmm.
just, like, ultimate game of all time and you got to, like, write it in? Did you get to vote out of certain ones? Like,
Yeah, I guess we
did
should have
they
done it.
did
I didn't know what was happening.
right. Yeah, no, and maybe next time we can try and get in there,
Hmm.
so we can see these kinds of things, but I think that's pretty important for people in deciding things like that. Is it, like, did they include the word franchise? Do you know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, was this,
Right.
like, a franchise thing, or was this, like, literally one solo game of all time? Or was it, from a certain year on? I have no idea.
Right. Yep. Well, I think that I'm
Interesting, though.
relatively unbiased with this stuff. The biggest one that raised my eyebrow and just made me think for sure was the PS5 winning
Yeah,
the game hardware of the year, best gaming hardware. Um, and so that's what, yeah, spurred me. I really need to look up how this is done because the
sure.
the PS5 launched with a bunch of issues, and I know that most of them have been resolved, but I don't know. Its competition didn't launch with a bunch of issues, so I
Hmm.
just thought that was interesting pick.
Yeah.
So,
Again, I would love to see how they word that and what your choices are.
mhm, mhm. Okay, we're moving into television here a little bit now.
Yes.
Um, Ridley Scott, we've talked about him being busy alongside developing an Alien series. He's also now doing a Blade Runner television series that's on top of, the Blade Runner like Black Lotus or whatever animated thing we've got. That's now.
Hmm.
Not much happening here right now other than like a pilot being developed and, as he calls it, the Bible for the show. Um, but what do you think of this resurgence in interest in the Blade Runner and Alien franchise? It kind of they were, kind of gone for a while, and now it's like we're going full steam ahead with these two franchises.
I'm I'm back and forth on this. So I don't know. I really kind of wish this was the thing that Ridley Scott was going to be really involved in. And then I don't wish that because I really want him to get back into Raised by Wolves. Because I
Mm,
feel like the end of the show where he stopped being involved suffered for it. I know we've
yeah.
talked about that on our Raised by Wolves
Hmm.
episode. No need to belabor the fact that I think we agreed that there were some strange moments at the end of the series.
Yeah.
Some strange choices, I should say.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know if like maybe really Scott's like being spread too thin here, if
Hmm.
he's, going to be involved at all or if he's not being involved, like I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing at this point. So,
You
I
know,
mean, I'm excited
mhm,
in
I
theory.
agree. Yeah. Right.
It's just hard to know without any detail
Yeah.
and kind of knowing what the premise and who's going to be involved.
Yep. Yeah, it's early. I eh, I didn't know that he was responsible for the last duel with
Mm.
Al
Yeah, sorry, Adam Driver and
yeah,
Matt
Matt
Damon
Damon,
and
Ben
yep.
Affleck, yeah.
Yes, yep, sorry, sorry.
I had no
Took me a minute
idea
to catch up.
until he was complaining about it.
Yes,
I
yes,
mean,
yep, agreed.
he
Sorry, I
like
was still stuck in, like, TV series land, and I was like,
yeah.
"What did I miss that's so big out there?" No, the movie,
Mhm.
gotcha.
Yeah, I just like he's been quoted now as saying that the last duel didn't do well because all these stupid millennials don't want to consume anything other than through their phone.
Hmm,
And
yeah, I
I
did
mean,
remember that.
fair enough. But he just is whiny. I mean, I guess that's okay. He's gonna say what he thinks, I suppose. But it doesn't come off as, I don't know, respectable, I guess,
Yeah,
sometimes.
it
But
was
a lot of these Hollywood types, they just, oh, we're whining about streaming services being nominated for things, or they're whining about the superhero movies, and not that none of them have points, but
well, yeah, I mean, at their core, there's usually a grain of truth in some of these statements, but it's just so they come across so, like, blanket that you're like, "Come on."
hmm
Like, there's obviously quality programs on streaming services, like,
hmm
there's no way that so many things would have been nominated for awards if they didn't have some quality elements to them.
yep,
Like, so you can't just say, like, "Oh, people only wanna watch streaming services." Not true. Um, People have definitely been flocking back to the theaters, you know what I mean? Like, there've definitely
hmm
been, like, upticks in box office numbers.
yep,
Ooh, that's interesting to say. And there are an uptick, I think, of movie releases that
yep,
are going back to theater only. And I
hmm
don't think that studios would take that gamble if they weren't confident that people were going to come back. So I think just like those sort of blanket things, it's just like, come on now.
I think, I mean, speaking from personal experience, I wasn't too particularly interested in the last duel because one, I didn't know Ridley Scott was involved. Like, I feel like it wasn't mentioned in the promotions, and I saw quite a few of them. Maybe it was, and I missed it.
Mhm.
And then Matt Damon's mullet. I mean,
No, God,
I
oh,
mean, I know
no,
you youngsters, their mullets are back, but they're not for
no,
me. And
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's whole look, no. There was fake hair and it looked fake. It was terrible. Yeah,
maybe
I'm
it's supposed
sorry.
to be that, maybe that's
I
it
don't
is fake
know.
in the movie. It's supposed to,
I don't know, but they
yeah.
both looked pretty like this is Ben Affleck and Matt Damon in some period costumes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in some
Mhm.
period hairstyle and some period costume,
Well,
and it's Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, and I can't
and
with this right now.
Ridley Scott's other quote was something like millennials they only want to absorb stuff through their phone and never willing to learn something or another, and it's like that's part of the problem.
That's
You're trying to
so
teach me
broad.
something with your film, just you know, I want to be give me, are you not entertained, Ridley? Give me entertainment. And
And that taught you something too without, you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like there's no reason that you can't be entertaining and teach people something.
right, for sure.
So I don't know like why he
Yeah,
thinks like we're all staying away from this film because it's
because
educational
it's
because
yeah.
I mean, I don't sit there and think like just because it, based on a true story or something flashes across the screen, I'm like, oh no. It's like I'm in
Yeah.
school again.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, it's just okay, this is a true story. So
And
I don't know.
usually based upon
Too
or
broad.
something is very loosely stated, and so then you're not
Exactly.
really learning anything anyways, potentially, because who knows what you've done with it? You've gotta look it
Well,
all up later anyways.
exactly. I was just gonna say I think the point of that is to like make it so intriguing that you actually want to go look up whatever
Sure.
this is based on and be like, okay, like that's a thing I didn't know. But again, that doesn't mean you have to be like devoid of entertainment to do
Right.
that.
Mhm.
Like it's possible that Ridley Scott just made a bad movie with some poor casting choices.
Maybe it's good, I don't know. I
Yeah,
just
I don't know.
wasn't
I mean,
thrilled to see it, so,
yeah,
blame your marketing team, whatever, so
yeah,
Um, you're welcome on the show anytime, Mr. Scott. Come on,
yep.
give
Defend
us your thoughts.
yourself.
Yep. All right, we're gonna get full of spoilers here. We're gonna fill up on them or fill you up on them, whatever. For Wheel of Time, Amazon Prime's latest attempt at a giant fantasy based on book
Hmm.
series television show. Um, We are not yet graced with the hot trash that will be the Lord of the Rings show. So we get in its stead
So nervous. I'm so
Wheel
nervous.
of Time.
I'm sick. I can't even talk about it.
It's just an assumption. It could be great. It could be great. Wheel of Time. First three
Yes,
episodes out. You have a history with the books. I do
I
not.
do.
So we have
I
a
do.
diverse perspective here.
Hmm.
We'll be getting on later weeks to talk about further episodes. Another book fan,
Hmm.
Phil, to return and discuss this. But let's get started. And if there's anything you want to preface with for your liking or history of or whatever the book series you'd like to
Sure.
tell people, go for it. Otherwise, we can jump into episode one.
Sure. So yeah, to give my very brief history with the books, I started them, back in my teens. They are quite lengthy. If you've ever seen them or read them, they're big solid books, and there are 14 of them in the Wheel of Time series, mostly written by Robert Jordan. Unfortunately, he passed away before he could finish, but he left extremely detailed notes for another fantasy writer, Brandon Sanderson, to come in and finish. I think he had planned on it being the last book, but Sanderson realized like there's so much material here. I need to split it out. And it ended up being 3 books, which was actually quite well received. as opposed to, when we in the movie verse try to stretch one book into 3
Yeah,
movies.
right.
Not great. This was actually a great choice. And the final few books are widely regarded as some of the best in the series, other than the beginning, of course. So I have made it through, to the best of my recollection, 9 out of the 14. I dropped off, unfortunately, when I was getting into college and just like didn't quite have the time to read these like huge, lengthy books. And they're packed with so much information. They're very much like Game of Thrones, where if you drop off, you can't just like pick up the next book. Or
Mm.
you can, but it's really difficult because so much has happened for so many different characters that you feel very lost.
You mean
So
you
I
can't
did go.
skip one, or you can't, like, take the
You
long break and then jump back
You
in?
can't it's hard to take a long break because that's what I
Okay.
did. I tried to jump back in and then I was like, I'm not remembering anything, so I went back and restarted the books, got about to the same place, and then hit grad school. So clearly my problem is school. I need to
Yeah,
stop
right?
that,
Yeah.
and finish these GD books. Um,
Mhm.
but I've just picked up, the book before where I left off last time. I'm not gonna go all the way back to the beginning, I've decided. I'm just gonna kind of use a little bit of the show, maybe a little bit of Google, and then
Yeah,
picking up one before I left off to kind of get me back into where all the characters are. And I'm hoping to get through all of them now.
nice. Well, there
So
are so many good synopses available,
there
you
are.
know, like,
Yeah.
recaps, whatever, so,
Yep.
for sure.
So that's where I'm at. I am a fan of the books for sure. I do recognize though that the middle does get a little draggy and
Okay,
long.
sure.
But
Alright. Well, how does the show translate for you? How's this
yeah.
adaptation, only a few episodes in thus far,
Right.
but,
Right.
how's it holding up?
I think very well, honestly. It's very true to the source material. Obviously they have to condense a lot, but I think they're pacing major events very nicely and skipping some smaller things that just don't quite, translate from page to screen.
Sure.
I think they've chosen their moments really well. I think so far they've chosen their character journeys very well. Um and I think for trying to fit, I don't know if they're trying to fit all of the first book into 8 episodes, or if they're gonna be, saving some of the
Right.
first book for later
Yeah.
seasons. Um, I think their pacing's going well. And I think they've
Sounds like
made sorry, I was just gonna say they
no,
made
go
some
ahead.
good character choices.
Okay.
And some character choices that I don't agree with, but we'll get into that in a minute.
Okay. Yeah, me having no context, I read, one kind of as a person that's read it, sort of review, um, they were just talking about, yeah, some of the similarities and differences or whatever. Is it is it true, or am I misunderstanding that the what is it, Dragon Reborn
Mhm.
or something, right? Is
Yes.
only supposed to be a dude in the books originally, and so
Yes.
it's strange that because it seems like they're complicating it then with suggesting these other people when I mean, do you think that they're gonna, like, change that, and does that change the basis of the books? Or do you think they're gonna stick with it? Does it kinda spoil something if you know that, and it's like, "Oh, well, it's gonna be
Yeah.
one of the dudes," you
So
know?
I think they did this to make some things easier, in the plot, to just sort of smooth over, like, Egwene needs to go with us because she could be the Dragon Reborn. And I just sort of feel like like, it didn't need to be that way. This was a choice I did have a hard time with, because it's very important in the books to the story that the Dragon Reborn be a male, because there's a whole thing about the one power and men,
Mhm.
and that's like a huge part of the books. It's a major plot point, um, for the Aes Sedai. It's a major plot point for our main characters. It's a major plot point for their battle against the Dark One. So I find it very strange that the show decided to like say that women could be
Mhm.
the Dragon Reborn. Um, Again, I don't know if they were, like, trying not to waste time being like, "Well, Rain has to convince Egwene that she has to come with because she could be an Aes Sedai, and she has the one power," and, like, Egwene doesn't wanna go because there is that struggle in the books, like, there is that struggle of
Right.
Egwene wants, the adventure, she wants this new life, she's excited, but she also, like, feels reluctant.
Mhm.
I don't know if they were just
Yeah.
trying to be like, "Let's go."
I suppose, I mean, when they mentioned that it could be a man or a woman, it wasn't people that were particularly knowledgeable about it, right? Wasn't it one of the, like, kids talking about that? Or was that
Mhm,
someone
yep.
of so maybe that's what they've heard, and that's not actually the case, and so but, I mean,
Well,
well, Rosamund
Moiraine sort
seems
of,
like
like,
she's trying to like, she's genuinely considering all of them.
yeah, that's what I mean,
So
like that I could have sort of bought or whatever, because they talk about in the show, "Oh, I hear the Dragon Reborn is gonna break the world. I hear he's got wings. I hear he's,
right,
flies around," whatever. So there's so much myth and so much rumor around the Dragon Reborn. I could have bought that, but then when Moiraine says, like, "It's one of you," and she includes Egwene, and I was just like,
right.
I didn't need that.
Hmm.
I feel like that was a little
Because,
disingenuous."
without spoiling, like, later stuff or whatever, doesn't it,
I'll
I mean, isn't
try.
isn't the idea of then, like, men trying to harness this one power is, like, corrupting, or either they are corrupting of it, or it corrupts them,
So, yep, so
or
here I'll quickly very explain because it's in the first book. I feel like it doesn't really spoil anything. I mean, it will be a little spoilery. I apologize for those who are watching the TV show and haven't gotten to that, but it is like right away in the books. So, lore wise, it's pretty front and
Mhm,
center. So what happened was in a past age in the Wheel of Time, um, a group of heroes called the Golden Company, led by the Dragon Reborn, was able to fight off the Dark One's forces and trap him in a prison, within his, like, kind of his realm that he ruled. They were able to create, I think it's 7 seals, and trap him there and lock him away from harming the rest of the world. But as the dragon, sorry, not the Dragon Reborn, the dragon was channeling the one power to create the seals. The Dark One was able to kind of expend the last of his energy and touch the one power as the dragon was channeling it, and tainted and corrupted it for men. So the way that the one power works is that it's yin and yang. There's a male side called Satan and a female side called Sadar. And the female side was not touched because a man was the one doing the channeling at that time that the dark one touched it. So that's why only women can touch the one power or the source, who calls it what, and be uncorrupted. Every time a male, since the dark one tainted the one power, has tried to channel, they've eventually been driven mad because of that taint. Every time they touch it, they go a little bit more insane.
mhm, yep, okay,
So that's why every time a male tries to channel, the Aes Sedai are like, "Whoa, we need to tamp that down right now," because
yep,
apparently one of the men who did after the Dark One tainted the One Power tried to channel went super nuts and killed a lot of people. To
sure,
give a
okay, yeah,
super quick synopsis.
that's a good backstory. It's amazing in this show so far, and even you telling me that story, it conjures so many different things for me,
Mhm.
like a lot of different. You talking about that? I thought Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and then
Mhm.
I thought my own D&D campaign, and then I just like, it's lots of and then going through the
It's a
show is
mythology
like,
grab bag.
yeah, it really is a
Yeah.
lot of things. It seems like, yep. Um,
Mhm.
Dragon Age as well, with like
Mm.
some um in that, and just in general tapping into magic is a
Yes.
corrupting kind of thing. um but okay, yeah, it's good. So yeah, with that, that does seem really strange, but I mean, does that necessarily mean that, so the dragon was a male with using the source, does that mean that he's gonna be reborn that way necessarily? Does that necessarily I mean,
Yes.
obviously the
So
danger is then if it's reborn as a dude, using the source would be a problem.
yes. So
So
that's obviously why, like I said, the Aes Sedai are so concerned with any male who shows the potential to channel. They're
mhm,
always it's weird. There's a push and pull. Some of the Aes Sedai are on the lookout for the Dragon Reborn, who they do genuinely believe is going to save the world from the Dark One. Entirely. Not
mhm,
just like seal him away, but like finish the job and
right,
kind of get him out completely. Um, and then other Aes Sedai, so those of the Red Order who you see in the very beginning are literally just like men are bad. All men. There's no prophecy of the dragon reborn we believe in. We literally just believe any male that channels, we've got to hunt them down,
mm,
imprison them, or kill them.
right.
So there's
Yeah,
there's
that
kind of
was
a
a
tension there. In the books, it's a little bit more explained as like symmetry. You know what I mean? They talk about like the wheel of time. The wheel of time turns, one age passes, and then comes into being again. So they're saying like when the wheel of time turns and like the dragon is reborn, it's mirroring that first age of the dragon, in which
yeah.
of course the dragon was a male.
So is the turning of the wheel of time originally when I was they were talking about a little bit, I was just thinking of it more as a kind of a like reincarnation
Yeah,
individually. Like you can come back and like you could try again next time, you don't remember your
it's
past and
it's kind of what it is.
is it the
They
world more? You mean like literally it's segmented like everything is set in a way like
no,
the
no, no,
world
no.
dies or something and
No, they just believe like events that are happening will happen again in the
okay.
wheel of
Okay.
time.
Okay.
And people come back in the wheel of time.
Okay.
Um, but it's not necessarily like a direct reincarnation. Like when they find out, not to spoil, when they find out who the dragon reborn is, it's not literally the dragon. He still has his own separate entity,
Right.
spirit. And he doesn't just like come back into this person and it's like,
Right.
"Oh, hey, I'm this
Yes.
guy who I was."
Right.
Um, so it's not like direct like that, but there's again like a symmetry.
Yeah. It's the Zelda. It's Zelda because when you talk about sealing away the Dark Lord and in Zelda, it's the seven sages that do this or whatever and
Sure.
seal him in his own realm. Um, but he's always destined to come back. Like
Yep,
always,
yep.
that's the way it is. The darkness always comes back again, and there will always be a hero to rise to defeat him. So it's kind of a chosen one. Link is
Yes.
not the same Link in most games. It's it's that if you want to call it reincarnation or whatever, it's the child of prophecy that is
Right.
destined to defeat the Dark Lord once more. And kind of the
Yep.
same with Zelda.
Yep.
Um,
And that's basically the same
so
thing here.
okay. Okay. All right. Getting into like the episodes specifically here. So we
Yeah,
talked, we talk about casting, all this stuff. I have to say up front that
do it.
I was not particularly thrilled on episode one,
No,
but
me neither.
um, because I remember, so you and Phil were talking, and it's like, oh, this is definitely not young adult, and all this stuff, or whatever. And I'm watching it, I'm like, I don't know. I don't like
Yep.
any of these people. I
Yep.
don't there's something about the look of it that I don't
Yep.
really love. Um, but
Yeah,
it got
episode
a lot
1 was
better.
not yes, episode 1 was not the show's strongest. I don't know, I feel like if I was in charge and, who doesn't wanna be in charge? Um, but I would not have started out with this particular episode.
Okay.
Not that the essential storylines wouldn't have remained the same, but just,
Mhm.
like, the way they told some stories, the way they introduced some characters, not strong. And there were and I know we're gonna bring this up, there were way too many Lord of the Rings references and call outs or like obvious similarities that I was just like, oh Lord, like I Phil told me this was good, and I'm so nervous because there were elements certainly that I thought there were a lot of problems in the first episode, and
Mhm.
I think 2 and 3 just, like, really improved.
Yep. I think they tried to sell people on, like, the effects and, make some action and stuff like
Mhm.
that, and I don't know,
There were
my Lord
certain
of the Rings
action moments
things.
that were good.
Yeah, that I wrote down were, like, there
Oh my
was a
god.
wispy voiceover. It was very Lady of the Woods, or Lady White,
Mhm.
whatever kind of thing, like,
Although
recounting the time.
I do have to say, didn't you like, though, that she said, like, 5 sentences and then was done? Thank God. I was so
It wasn't.
terrified they were gonna, like, go into, like, this whole thing. It
Mhm.
was gonna be, like, 12 minutes of exposition,
Yep.
and I was just gonna be like, "Oh, no." They just, like,
Mhm.
snapped to it. Thank
And then the
God.
ring abandoned him, and he was lost to time for many, yeah. Um,
It
but
abandoned Gollum.
yeah.
Alright. No, I won't do my whole intro spiel. Oh god.
I had, yeah, I just really, I think the biggest thing, because it's like, okay, well, some of the effects, whatever. I think that my issue was I didn't like people at this point. I
Sure.
just, so there was the one woman that's like, you look to as a leader here, and I'm a protector, and I'll protect the village even against you if I have to.
Oh,
And
Nynaeve.
then and then shit hits the fan
Yeah.
and you don't do anything. I'm like, Wait a
Yeah.
minute." Because and then, the one woman sworn into like the sisterhood. And again,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, well, these are the people that are like training each other and they have some power and stuff. And again, they do nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. They all have to rely on Rosamund Pike's wispy white strands everywhere,
Yeah.
So I was like,
So,
come on, what the.
no, I totally agree. I definitely have some thoughts about that. Number 1 is I had such a hard time in the books with Nynaeve. She was my least favorite character throughout so many books. She's always kind of that strong-willed to a point where you're just like, can you
Mhm.
just, like, take it back, like, a step, please? Like, you are a lot right now."
Right.
And she finally gets better in the later books, I think. She sort of, like, settles down. Um, and I'm not gonna, like, give a whole lot of spoilers. I'm gonna try and stay out of the books. But yes, she is a lot, and she is very, unfortunately, dislikable, but that weirdly is true to the books, I
Sure.
think.
Okay.
And she and Moraine, like, butt heads all the time in the books, and that's pretty legit. Um, so part of the reason is Nynaeve does have skill with the one power, and she can channel, but she just doesn't know it. So like so many people in these villages, like Egwene and like Nynaeve, um, they have the ability, but they've never really been taught like
Yeah.
formally what it
Sure.
is. So they like have these like small little abilities that they develop. Like Nynaeve
Yeah.
is a healer and like has all of her like potions and stuff, and she's got some power that way, but she like doesn't know how to use the one power to like throw a rock at a Trolloc, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, their conception of what they're doing is so different. And that all changes in later books. But it is
Okay.
really tough to be like, you're all acting like you can do something, and Moraine's the only one up in here like, throwing
Yeah.
down with a Trolloc.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
tough.
Um, I'm also, and this is not improving so far for the most part. This is the one thing
Sure.
that's really not improving is
Sure.
I don't think I like the way this is shot or color graded.
I agree about the color.
It's too contrasty. It looks like
Yep.
someone applied an Instagram filter.
And
There are
dark. The
there are
dark
parts
moments are
that
so dark.
it's where the blacks are getting crushed. They're
Yeah.
artifacting because it's too dark. And
Mhm.
I don't know if this was like an Amazon Prime compression thing or something, but I've
Yeah.
just not had this on other things.
Yep.
I get color flickers, like color patches. Their like skin looks blotchier and stuff at times because it kind of flickers
Mm.
between like tones almost.
Interesting.
Like,
I
it
don't know
just
that I've
doesn't
noticed
look
that,
good
but
that
yeah.
way. It's
Yeah.
grainy a lot, and that can be a style thing, but it's too grainy a lot of times. The opening shot where they're chasing those guys down, they've got tons of weird blown out highlights, and it looks
Yes.
really sharp, and I don't know. I don't like it.
Yep.
So,
I would say that's fair for sure. I feel like there's I feel like somebody didn't quite make a decision. Do you know what I mean? Like they were sort of like,
mhm,
let's like feel it out and see how it goes. And
yeah,
then they sort of were ended up with this like patchy, like sometimes like in this shot that we're looking at right now, Moraine and Lan, it's like paler colors
mhm,
and more like we're getting into the real stuff. And then sometimes, like you say, it's that like sort of Instagram filtery, like very low lit, like smooth, warm tones and the blacks are like super black and like there's no leveling of colors. And it's like these shows look very different right now. They look like they are
yeah,
not quite the same show.
yeah. It's odd. So, I
Yes,
don't know. I
quite
don't know
odd.
what I hope that they change something with this going forward.
Hmm.
I mean, I know that one of my favorite shows of all time, Battlestar Galactica, had some inconsistencies, at least between like the pilot thing and then the
Hmm.
rest of it. So I don't know, stuff
Yeah,
they could change something.
I mean, a lot of shows do because they shoot a pilot and they just sort of have to like work with some stuff and then get picked up. And
Hmm.
then once they get picked up, they're like, look at all the budget we have. This
Yeah.
seems a little bit different because I feel like it's like it was a given season right from the start. But
Right. Yeah.
who knows? Maybe Amazon did put the show through kind of like a trial few
Hmm.
episodes, and then was like, okay, here's your full
Yep.
amount of money that you can go get it.
Right. They. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if it changes or progresses.
Yeah,
Um, wasn't something I was considering going in, but it bothered me a lot. Alan
sure.
says it looks too clean. Yeah, but like I say, they intentionally sharpen things, and you get a lot of noise in spots or whatever. Um, I don't know. I notice a lot of times there's a lot in focus, um, so there's not a lot of depth. But
Hmm.
then I noted in I think episode 3, this one seems like did someone else shoot this part? Because it all of a sudden had this good depth that they were playing with. Scene between was he says his name is Lan and this one we're just looking at here. We are just talking about
Nynaeve.
yeah, Nynaeve. It was a scene between them, like she was gathering herbs and stuff,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and it looked better. So
Hmm.
I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, to Alan's point, yes, many times people look too clean. Um, I think part of that is, I mean, obviously in the first episode, everybody is like warm and safe and happy in their village.
yeah,
Where they clearly have access to running water as Moraine and Lan take a bath. Um, and in the books, one of Robert Jordan's like key points about Moraine or one of her maybe personality quirks is cleanliness. So there's like
mm,
her kind of like obsession is not obsession, I shouldn't say. But she has a thing about like being well bathed and well groomed.
mm.
So I don't know if that's like a weird, like convenient thing for this show to say like everybody looks so clean because like that's the thing in the books. Um, I don't know. Matt
Would she
Matt
let
though
someone?
Matt,
Would
though,
she let
kinda looks like rough and ready,
Matt?
always. Um, so he's the 3rd friend who leaves from the village. He's got the dagger now that he
Oh,
found in Shadar
yeah,
Logoth,
yep.
with the two little sisters and stuff.
He is one of the more convincing ones for me. He does look more the part.
Dirty
Um,
peasant.
yeah, just I don't know,
I mean, he
like
is poorer than,
okay,
Rand and Perrin, so that's
okay,
kind of like a sticking point. Obviously, we see in the first episode that he's,
yeah.
begging for money and trying to steal things for money, and
Well,
his family's not
stop
well
making
off.
bets. That's not a good idea.
Well, yeah, I
So,
mean, it's so weird. On the one hand, you feel like so sympathetic, and on the other hand, like, yeah, obviously, like, stop gambling,
yeah, right.
dumbass.
Yep. So yeah, what do we think of the cast of kids here then, or the youngins? How
Yeah,
do we feel the casting choices were? For me, again, I have no context for the books, so like I would be coming at a different way, but like
sure.
from yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're broadly well done. Um it's honestly hard to say after 3 episodes, but I feel like they're going in good directions. Um, so we have as we're looking at the cast, I'll just take it from the left. Perrin is on the way left there. He's our blacksmith, kind of our quieter, gentle giant sort of stereotype. That fits very well with what's portrayed in the books. Like Perrin is very, slow to speak, slow to anger, always like the calming, reasonable protector. So I think that's well done. They do introduce his like beginning bond with the wolves. So I
Mm.
dug that. That's definitely a big part of the books. So that was really fun. To the negative side, he does not start out in the books with a wife and does not kill her. Like, I'm not really sure why that
Yeah,
needed
why?
to be like an angsty
Yeah.
plot point that was introduced. I don't
See,
like it.
that sucks because I didn't like that. At first I see this guy, I was like, okay, I don't know what to think for sure, but he seems kind of
Yeah, sure.
dopish. And then he kills his wife or girlfriend or whatever. I'm like, oh my god, definitely this guy's a dope. Where I don't like this guy at all.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was very interested in his wife. I was hoping she was going to be a part of this more.
Yeah,
I don't know, it just
no
looked like an
idea.
interesting.
Yeah, no idea where that came from, who thought of that, why he needed some backstory there. I mean, I know, to be fair, he's not like he doesn't go through a lot of character development in the early books, so maybe they were like trying to do something. Not necessarily. Just spend time on other plot points. Like I was highly disappointed in that. Um
Yeah. God, that was one of the biggest bummers to me in the first episode, honestly. I really
yeah,
didn't like that.
I
And,
agree. I
so
agree. I
now in my
mean,
mind, he has, like, some work to do coming back from that.
well,
So
and I mean, the only thing I thought it was good for was his dreams. That was, like, a cool
sure.
scene when he, like, flips
Yes.
out and there's, like, a wolf, like,
Yes.
eating his wife. That was cool, that was crazy.
Yep.
But yeah, no, the whole plot in general, did not love that. Egwene, she is definitely the right amount of wildly stubborn and highly vulnerable at the same time.
Okay.
The In the early books, Egwene is like all over the map emotionally,
Okay.
especially with her and Rand because they've been promised to each other since they were kids. Like they sort of expect their future together. She loves him, but doesn't quite know how to say, you know, I don't really want this, which she, ends up doing in the first episode by saying in a roundabout way, I'm going to be Nynaeve's apprentice, which means I can't marry you.
Mhm.
Um, so that relationship felt very true to the books, and I think she's nailing a lot of like, I don't know how to say that I love you, but I'm not in love with you when I know you're in love with me,
Right.
and that's tough. That's so
Mhm.
their relationship is all over the grid, which makes sense to me. Um,
There's a moment
Now,
I didn't like with her, though.
yeah,
It was in episode 2,
totally. I mean, she
because
can she can have totally shitty bratty moments,
yeah.
which is true to the books too. I just mean
Okay.
like her
Yeah.
swings of character, I think, are very accurate.
Okay. Yeah, I she was starting off to be one of my favorite characters, and then had this moment where she just like snapped. It's like, okay, you have one conversation with Rosamund Pike and
Mm,
you like her kind of here, and then you snap at Rand. I'm like, okay, Rand could be a little more reasonable here too, but you don't have to like, I forget what she said exactly, but like call him such an idiot or whatever
yeah.
for questioning this person that you know nothing of.
Yep.
And it's like to me, it's like finally, okay, Rand is saying something here. Let's get some answers. Let's have
Right.
some, because
Right.
so many. I do not like shows or books or anything using the excuse of someone just intentionally, for no good reason, withholding information that would make things way better just so we can have conflict in the show.
Yes.
Because people would ask questions and people would discuss. And if you don't have something to hide, you have something to hide if you can't
Yep.
answer the question. And so then you have reason to be skeptical.
Yeah.
So, like,
So I agree. I think where like the show just sort of like missed helping the audience like make the dot connection is Egwene's outburst is probably equally about herself in the sense of like, yeah, that conversation was really affecting for her because it's offering her a chance to be Aes Sedai, which of course she's like, oh my God, like I'm powerful, like I'm meant for something, like I've always wanted more, and this is what I want. I can see that it's hurting Rand, and I can't deal with that, so I'm gonna snap at him. And then also, she's also snapping at Rand because of his rejection of her when she tried to go like lay down with him and like have like a best friend moment. When I think in her mind she was gonna have a best friend moment, and in Rand's mind it was like, "Why are you teasing me? Like that's not
yeah.
cool." So they're totally just like having
Mhm.
teenagery,
Yeah.
willful miscommunications, which they are teenagers, so sometimes that's gonna have to happen in the show, but I just think it wasn't quite as smooth as the show needed to be
Mhm.
for the audience not to be like you, like, very off put by it, and I was
Mhm.
too in that moment. Um, and then for Moiraine, we learn later in the show that of course she can't tell a lie. She can talk around stuff, but she can't
Right.
lie. And so I think her in that moment, again, that the show didn't make very clear, was her trying not to lie when Rand is like, "What are we going to do at the White Tower?" And in her mind she's like, "Well, you might die. I want to
Mhm.
tell you that. Like, you might be
Yeah.
imprisoned. Probably don't want to tell you that. Like,
Yep.
I don't know what awaits you at the White Tower. It's probably not super great unless you're the Dragon Reborn. Even then, the
Yeah,
Reds
you
are
might just
not
be a
gonna
threat. Yeah.
right, the Red Aes Sedai are not gonna be cool with that. So I might try to kill you anyway. So why don't I just, you know, go off and like be mysterious? Wasn't a smooth moment. Wasn't a
Mhm.
smooth script moment.
Yep. I mean, ultimately, like you say, you wouldn't like the answers, but you're not gonna like the answers anyways. Oh, okay, go
Right.
off on your own. You're being hunted. You know, so you have a chance here to maybe be protected for a while, which
Right.
it's not working out so well. Um, or so
And
like just being
yeah.
upfront about that. Like, yeah, your future is looking kind of grim right now, honestly.
Well, and
What are you
and
gonna
to
do about
be
it?
right, and to be truthful, Moraine's got her own motives too, which are human ones. No matter what legend says of Aes Sedai in the lore says of Aes Sedai in the books. So they're a mix of good and bad,
Yep.
or good and potentially harmful intentions. Um, you know, they're her for her own purposes. So she's obviously not going to like share like I've got my own plans that I hope you're going to go
Right.
along with. But we just met, so hey, yeah, it's tough.
Yep.
It like I said, it was not a good script moment.
Well, what about some of the characters?
Yeah,
Maybe gone
so
through a
I'll
few.
I'll I'll round out Matt and Rand. Matt, I think is well done. He's very much like he is in the books. He's a gambler, trickster, does not like a good day's hard work. Would much rather be off having fun, which is why he's susceptible to doing things like he did in episode 3, which is wander off in
Yeah.
Shadar Logoth and pick up that dagger, even though Lan expressly said, like, don't touch stuff.
Yeah. Right.
Um, so yeah, and he's always after that wealth, that power, like he really wants all of that. So that as much as he grumbles about going back to the two rivers and genuinely wants to protect his two sisters, um, he's also a little bit about, what if I'm a dragon reborn and I could be famous? I could have gold and women, and you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
he's very shifty. He's got a
Yeah.
lot of competing motives, and he hides a lot of them from his friends because he feels like, "Oh my god, Rand and Perrin are so good. They won't understand my very base need for things like, money." or, at a deeper level, like clothing and shelter. So
Sure.
he's definitely um relatable but flawed. And
Mhm.
I think the first couple of episodes have shown some good moments for him. Um Rand is the very, like, reluctant, like, I would love to be, home in the Two Rivers with my dad on the farm, and I had my whole life mapped out, loved
Yeah.
it, was super excited, I don't want any of this, like, let's go back. Um, so he's very the reluctant hero
Mhm.
archetype, and I think not having too much else to do, the actor, playing Rand is doing a fine job with that right now.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, and then our 2, Rosamund and Lana, I'm enjoying their stuff so far. Lan.
So, yes. I had a really hard time when they first popped up on the screen
Okay.
because in the books, there's a very, very big deal all the time made out of how short Moraine is. She's like 4 foot
Mm.
nothing. And
Okay.
it's always commented upon how short she is, how diminutive in stature, like,
Mm.
but she exudes such a powerful aura, like characters always forget that she's like looking up at them and she's like so tiny. And Lan is this like, you know, like mountain, think the mountain from Game of Thrones. Like he's just like a barrel of a man, which obviously this guy is not.
Right.
So it was very disconcerting watching them enter on the screen and
Interesting.
having that, like, preconceived notion in my mind. It was really tough. And I was like, "I'm gonna give it a
Wow.
shot," because obviously, like, that's a really hard pairing to find. I get that they wanted some star power with Rosamund Pike. I think she's a fabulous actress, so she can do a lot with any role she's given. Um, but yeah, that was really tough for me to see
Should have
at
got, like,
first.
one of the Fanning sisters or something, right, to do it?
Just
Like,
yeah,
they're
someone
tiny, right?
just yeah, like a tiny little bird person.
Huh.
Um, yeah.
I
So
suppose
that
it's
was
because she's producing as well. It's like,
right.
I'm invested in this show, I'm doing this role, like, it's
Which
happening.
go get it.
Mhm.
She's not doing bad. I mean, I'm not gonna, say there
But
are moments I think are clunky, but overall I think the performance is good so far.
but then they could have gotten, like, The Mountain. He's free.
I know, I was just thinking
Yeah.
about that. I was like, I mean, I don't know if it was like maybe gonna be too like on the nose and he's not like I mean, I don't wanna be too disparaging, but he's not exactly like a nuanced actor from what I could see in Game of Thrones.
I
And
mean,
that is the
yeah,
thing about Lan, like, the books are very, like, still waters run deep, and he's got a lot of very interesting backstory to explore.
sure.
So I don't know how maybe he would have done with that, but yeah, it was an adjustment. I'm
Okay,
liking their pairing together. I'm liking their chemistry, but it was tough initially.
okay, okay, I can see that. And then we had an episode 2, a good old Lord of the Rings scene. Run to the ferry, run to the crossing, and it's like, oh man, wow, that's really on the nose. Um,
Yeah,
ring wraiths chasing.
I
They're afraid of
know.
water.
I know. I know, it was terrible. Yeah, there were two moments where I was like, "Okay, too much here." That was one of them for sure, where the fade comes up. Doesn't look like a ring wraith, actually looks like you watched the extended Lord of the Rings, right? He
Yeah.
looks like, the mouth of Sauron more, I think,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yes. Oh man.
Like,
Okay.
totally, I think.
Mouth on Sauron is amazing and wasted in the movies.
I
He's so
agree.
cool.
So, maybe we're gonna have some cool moments here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a huge, like, "Oh my god," like, I'm watching The Lord of the Rings, and the other moment was Rand's father when he was like, "All we have to decide is what to do with the time given to us," and I was like,
Yes.
"Stand up,
I made
you
notes of
here?"
that too. It's like,
Like,
come on. Yeah.
oh! Yeah, no, Phil and
Mhm.
Phil and I talked about that too, and we were just like, "Way too on the nose. Please
Mhm.
stop." I don't want
Yeah.
Elijah Wood to, like, pop up with his, like, giant eyes and talk about a ring, like, nope.
I mean, that'd be a fun, like, Easter egg. He's just, like,
It
clearing behind a tree, he's there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Going to Moria, guys.
Mhm.
See ya. Um, yeah. So yeah, those were two very, very heavy leans on Lord of the Rings that I felt maybe we could have done something better.
Yep.
But
I really like
unfortunately, the fairy is in the books as well. So
sure. I really like the opening of episode 2. I thought it was a lot stronger. It was a
yeah.
much darker tone. Is very intriguing. Like, okay, who is this guy? He's you know being served. He's got the hands cut off for the woman that's gonna be burned.
Mm-hmm.
Collecting rings. I like the
Yeah.
the bloody fingerprints on the very polished
Silver goblet, yeah.
goblet. Yeah. So I liked all that, and then I liked meeting those people. It's like, okay, these guys are gonna clearly be a problem, um, but they were a fun um, addition thus far, and intriguing
Yes.
side note to later events. Um, gave off gave off like Raised by Wolves, Church of Saul vibes.
Yes. Yeah, I thought the White Cloaks were well executed. They were creepy and terrifying and culty and
Hmm.
um like a great representation of the way they are in the books, especially that questioner.
Yep.
I don't know that they've said his name out loud. Aemon Valda. Um he is just like wildly fanatic and horrible, um, which is the way he is. And
Yeah.
it's a great job. Like the whole I love the whole way they're doing the white cloaks. And I love their uniforms.
Yep.
I always had a tough time picturing those, but I think they're unique and interesting and also like now very clearly what I picture. You know what I
They're
mean?
kind of some sort of like Sith robe, like a Kylo Ren plus some sort of Sith Lord, but completely white then?
Yeah, but then they've got, like,
Yeah.
the metal, like,
Arm thing, that
armor,
looks nice, yeah.
shoulders.
Mhm.
Yeah, and clearly signifies some ranks and things like that, so I
Mhm.
enjoyed that.
Yep. Yep, I agree. The dreams have been good, as we've talked a little bit. The
Yeah.
bats, pulling that out of your mouth, that was good. It's like, "Oh, what you got in there?" So
Yeah,
that's pretty
I liked the way they portray the Dark One in the I think they did a good job of, like, visual affecting
with the red eyes
there.
and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So I think he could have been dumb, and right
sure.
now I'm finding it, not like, "Oh
Mhm.
my god, I'm so scared," but creepy enough to be like, "Ooh, okay, good job."
Yep, yep. Um Then we got into some moments, let's see, yeah, it was episode 2, yeah, where some things reminded me of Shadow of the Colossus and its, like, partner game, Eco.
Mhm.
The shadow stuff coming and the ruins, and everything like that were very reminiscent to me of this, so I liked the ruins, I was interested in that, um, and, the shadow in like in eco things come out of the shadows to like grab you and pull
Mm,
you in or whatever, so this
sure,
is
yep.
obviously a little different, um but
Oh,
yeah,
poor
I
horsey.
liked these moments. Yes, for sure.
Oh, that was horrible, that
um
was horrific. Again, great use of special effects, that was
mhm.
horrifying.
But there was stuff that I really a lot of moments or the towns or whatever kind of unimpressed by, but then I like the wall with the city walls or whatever,
Yeah.
and the scale of that. I think that was good. um some things were a little fake looking or whatever to me, but, I
Yeah.
some like the lighting on the person didn't exactly match what they had there, whatever or something, but, yeah.
Yeah,
Um
I enjoyed, um yeah, see, oh, sorry, here's the fade for those of you who are
mm,
watching. Total
mhm,
Mouth of Sauron, right?
yep. I
Yeah.
mean, he hasn't developed fully yet because Mouth of Sauron is like, it's really
Right, right, it's
big,
yeah.
but yes.
But yeah,
Yeah, I thought he was
that's the
cool.
vibe I'm getting.
Mhm. Yep,
Um Yeah, I was just gonna say I really enjoyed most of the effects in Shadar Lagoth. Um, like the big giant wall was I feel just as impressive as the shots of the wall in Game of Thrones. You know what I
sure.
mean? When they were doing that exterior shot, I thought that was fantastic.
Hmm.
The development of the interior, you're right. There were some exterior shots that were like, this is clearly flat. That's not actually a building like down the row
Hmm.
back there. And dimensionally it was a little tough
Yep.
to swallow that this was a full grown city. But yeah.
Yep. Did you buy the one guy not telling everybody about his injury? Like, is it just like I don't want to
Aaron,
bother anyone else, right
yes,
now?
yes and no. He's totally self-sacrificing like that, and he's clearly, like, atoning for killing Layla
Right.
by being like, "I'm just gonna suffer, and, like, I
Hmm.
deserve this." That's very Perrin. Um, I think it's a very weird, specific thing to have him suffer through, um, when, like, he could very easily be slowing the group down, and I'm surprised he hasn't gotten an infection, not because it was, like, a Trolloc blade, but, like, just literally
Right.
because he has not taken care of that thing, and they've been going and going and going and riding and, you know, clearly not stopped to let anybody know that he needs care, so,
Right. Yep.
um yeah, so I bought it, but I'm not it's hard. I really like the character of Perrin, but they're doing some very weird things with him right now. And I think it's just to give him more interest, and I kind of want them to stop that. Stop
Sure.
giving him just like, we think this is interesting, we'll have him do it. Just like let his storyline play out a little bit more.
Yep. Well, our group runs into trouble. They all get separated. This feels like a
Mhm.
good D&D scenario. We got our party now into three groups.
Mhm.
Obviously, our big twist at the end, or a big shock at the end of episode 2, is that our favorite lady is back and is survived. I'm gonna slit your throat, Lan, if you don't, bring me to all my friends.
Yep.
Um, which immediately asks, like, how did you find what?
Mhm. It's
So
again, it's
I'm
a whole thing in the books.
okay. Yeah. So we'll see if they explain that, because obviously they start to address it in episode 3, and then
Right.
she doesn't answer. So I figure there's something to that.
Yes.
Um, but it's like I was happy to see her do something and survive what would happen to her and everything. So
Mhm.
that was good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say she again, it's a whole big thing between her and Lan and Moiraine, like how she kind of comes back and follows them. And again, it's that sort of much like Egwene, who they keep, kind of reminding us she's not much older than. She kind of is longing for this like adventurous life and more important things to do. And this is kind of a really great excuse of like, well, I'm following my friends and I need to protect them and make sure they come to no harm. It's my job as
Mm,
wisdom. And like,
hmm.
Moraine constantly reminds her, like, "You're the town wisdom, though. You could just go back. Like,
Right.
you have a
Yeah.
whole town back there,
To take
who you
care
could be
of and help out,
protecting." Yeah.
which you did a bang
So
up job of last time.
I
You
know,
really
just
did great.
absolutely nailed it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um. So yeah. So there's a whole like push and pull there that I'm hoping they'll get
Mhm.
into.
Yep. So they're all separated. They're on the run. I thought it was interesting that they were running from the wolves again, but it's like to me in my mind, it's like, didn't you learn from last time? It seems like the wolves were coming after you, and then they just licked your wounds.
Right.
So, and they
Right.
suggest that later. It's like the wolves led us here or something. So, but it's like
Exactly.
I feel like I would have made that connection. Maybe if you're not like used to dealing with magic and weird stuff, you wouldn't in real life. But as a viewer, I'm like, they're probably not going to hurt you. Probably
Right.
help you out.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's again a weird like, how do you tell this? Um, because of course Egwene doesn't know that. And then
Right.
Perrin is like, how do I tell her that like this wolf came up and licked my wounds? Like, isn't that a weird thing? I should probably not tell her. Like, I'll just run with
Yeah.
her. But like you can't really convey
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
to an audience. So it comes off really clunky, like, oh, we're being chased by wolves. Oh wait, the wolves led us here and are helping us out. That's so crazy.
These guys, I met them before. They're cool.
Right? My
They're with me.
buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so then we're in with the other set, um, Rand and stuff. So it's kind of
Rand and
interesting
Matt. Yeah.
to see them trying to decide what they want to do, kind of, pulling interests here, seeing Matt sort of like try the opposite of the other group.
Yeah.
Whereas like Matt is saying, "Hey, she's probably dead, you know, and she's likely, or if she's not, just gone home or whatever, or what, you really just discouraging for sure.
Yes.
On the other side, it's very like, well, he'll go wherever you go because he's
Mhm.
gonna be your little bitch.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was a fun tone dynamic, them working, and then like you say, seems emblematic of his character getting out of doing whatever
Mhm.
he, real work.
Totally.
And but I nonetheless I liked the interactions. I liked the bard. It's like,
Yes, Tom Maryland, he is a huge part of the book, so I am hoping to see more of his
okay.
character.
It was great because I wrote this bard in my own campaign, and I'm always looking for like songs that
Oh
would
my
be
god, isn't his
appropriate.
song
Yes.
just amazing? I loved it. Loved it right off the bat.
Mhm. 'Cause
Sorry.
so many bards are, like, kinda chipper, or they're
Mhm.
real young or something like that. It's like, that's not the bard I wrote. I don't want these songs that are like elves sang, like, I don't know, whatever. And
We're going
so
through the grass and the fields in the
y
spring and the
yeah.
flowers and the harvest and the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I'm stealing this song. I'm using this song in
Yeah.
my campaign
It's
because,
awesome.
yeah, it was a good song. It was a good performance. And then it was an interesting character later, and it seems like he could be a good influence on on Matt. So it's not he's not, you don't have to think of him at first. He's there for himself, it seems, but
Mhm.
he's not a bad guy. He's really to give his money back and all that stuff, trying to
Right.
do right
Yeah.
by burying someone.
I I hope I'm not being too spoilery here. Um but so part of his influence in the books here is that he is going to help Rand and Matt get out of this town, and take and kind of help them along the next part of their journey, and take them as his like fake apprentices. And
Hmm.
it's really like a whole fun arc, and he's got more in later stories. He's, like I said, a very big character actually. But I'm hoping to see that in the next couple of episodes,
Sure.
that this is we're going to stay to that storyline. It's like
Makes
he
him
said,
try
it
to play an
he's
instrument or
yeah,
something.
well, he I think he has Matt maybe try to, like, throw knives or something, and
Mm.
he keeps, like, trying to do, like, 60 million different things for Rand, and Rand is hopeless at, like, everything because he's too straight, you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
there's no, like, artful entertainment flair, whereas Matt is, a talker,
Mhm.
he's an entertainer, he's, gonna have a drink with you. So,
Yep. Uh,
I
okay.
do have to say, I loved this town because there's scenes in this town because I thought it set up some very important points. Like one with the dark friend that they met, the
Yeah,
inn owner.
that was surprising.
Who, yeah. So she's like, obviously like an agent of the dark one on the lookout for them. She, the way she gets messages she communicates is through dreams. She said they've been appearing in her dreams, so she knows to look for
Right.
them. So
Yeah.
obviously that sort of underscores Maureen's point about dreams being powerful.
Yeah.
And then the second piece of information that we get is that, she says, heard that there were four of you, but you two are important.
Hmm.
So we get
Okay.
that it's like a total throwaway,
Yeah.
just a super brief second, but from that you get, we're setting Rand and Matt up
Right.
to, like vie for, and have this like tension of like who's the dragon reborn.
Sure. Yeah. It's a good point. Yeah, because they'll probably replay that moment in their head a lot, for
Hmm.
sure.
Well,
That's cool.
especially like what I was talking about, that part of Matt, that, there's the one part that wants to go home and just be with his sisters and live in the two rivers. And then
Mhm.
there's the other part that's like, I want fame, I want glory, I want, you know,
Yep.
the wealth and people chanting my name and things.
Yep.
I want the material things. So that's, there's obviously going to be a little part of him that's like, ooh, I like this, and I
Well,
and I don't know that
yeah.
I want Rand to take it away from me because Rand gets everything.
Mhm. Well, and it was interesting with Rand and her in the room because I'm like, at the
Mm,
time watching him, like, okay, maybe this is getting a little flirty. Don't, like
Mhm.
you've got your girl already, don't do this. And then he doesn't. But then thinking about it, and as we've talked about and stuff as well, it's like, no, you should have just gone. I mean, obviously he probably would have been killed doing that,
Oh,
but
yeah.
he should have like should have gone for it. It's like, fine, she's gonna leave me, She
Right?
chose larger, bigger, better things, than me. So like go for it then. But yeah, ultimately a wise decision. But it
Yeah.
doesn't bode
But
well
y
for him being able to accept um the path that his love is taking, you know. So
I won't say many things. There's so many things I could say right here, but, probably I'll just stick with, yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
it does not bode well.
Yep. But it was fun, unexpected for sure. And so yeah, I was much more inclined as episode 2 and then 3 for sure went on to notice less of the flaws that
Yes,
were like I couldn't stop noticing in the first episode and stuff.
totally agree.
Um so
Totally
yeah.
agree. And speaking of flaws in the first episode, because we were talking before the cast, about pronunciation, name pronunciation.
Yeah.
And, you were, like, saying, like, I don't know who these people are, like, how you pronounce their names and whatever. From reading the books, I had very specific pronunciations in my head, and they are written out in the books to, like, help readers, to try to get that. That there was one notable deviation, and I don't know if I'm wrong or the show's wrong. I'm gonna believe the show's wrong just because it's so locked in my brain. So Land's last name, they introduce him right away, and they say his last name, and they say Mandragoran. And in
Mhm.
my mind, it was always Mandragoran.
Okay.
It's a
Mandragoran sounds better.
I think so. So we had this whole conversation before the show about how I listened to Harry Dresden, and in the books,
Mhm.
the gangster is John Marcone, and in the audiobooks, it was Marconi, and I hated it. So I feel like the similar situation is happening here where I like Mandragoran and they said Mandragoran. And it just I don't know if it was like the way they said it or the way it was introduced, and I was just already shocked that Land didn't look like I was expecting him to look, and then they add this different name on top of it. But I was displeased.
Mm.
Displeased indeed.
I mean, I'm gonna get on team whatever you said. Yeah, I'm on that
Thank you.
team. Yeah,
Mandragoran.
Mandragoran. Yep. It just sounds more real, less like a made up thing. You know,
Mandragoran? Yeah.
Mandragoran sounds like I don't know, you're a man dragon.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. And
Mandragoran. Oh,
there's
what's
just like a
that?
whole cool thing with Lan in his backstory from the Borderlands, and I just don't know about calling him Mandragoran. I don't know.
Mm,
Maybe if it was just like a slightly different pronunciation, I would be okay with it. But yeah, I just wasn't feeling it.
they might never say it again.
They might
And
never
so,
say it again. Like we were
so
talking about, they don't call each other by their names often, by their
mhm,
full names less often, which is, good because we don't talk like
mhm.
that in real life. But yeah.
Yep,
Something, when you were talking about noticing the flaws in episode 1, it was something I got a little stuck on for sure.
yep, yep. All right.
All
Well, it was
right.
sad we didn't have Phil here to get his thoughts, but he'll catch us up on his thoughts later. And this was probably
Absolutely.
enough getting ours, and we had the nice, clear and concise kind of like contextual fill in from you here.
Mhm.
So um, I think that's all good.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's I didn't talk about these. Let's see, filthy gypsies show up.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and
The
and
Tinkers.
yeah,
Tuathan.
yeah, and there was some
They're
good
also
blood
gonna be
pumping
important for a
stuff at
while.
the end.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, okay. I I should say, I didn't introduce what my drink was. It's almost
Oh
gone
my
now.
god, you didn't. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I thought about that earlier and then got lost in the lore of Wheel of Time. Tell us about
Yeah.
your festive fall beverage, sir.
Yeah. So it's
Your autumnal.
peanut butter. Yes, my autumnal drink. Yes, I got to use that a lot now. My It's peanut butter whiskey with
Ooh.
eggnog, and then like pumpkin spice on top.
Oh
So,
my goodness. That's
yeah.
just like all the holidays in a glass.
I know, right?
How you doing with it?
It's good. I mean, it's very
Good?
sweet. That's why it's a small
Okay.
glass with had a lot of
Sure.
ice in it, but, yeah. Yep, good stuff. So, I
Excellent.
didn't come up with a drink called Wheel of something or another or,
Oh, I know. Next time though,
I could
we'll
call
have to
the
we'll
I
have to
could I'm gonna call it the dirty white coat.
the dirty white coat. There you
Yeah,
go.
because you know they're shady and they got dirt on their hands right away. Drink is very white, and I had, sprinkles on top and stuff, so
Yeah, I'm trying to
dirty
figure
white
out
coat.
like what mine could be. I mean, it looks kind of like the yellow eyes Sedai. So that's what I'm gonna call it for now.
Okay. Alright. See?
Yeah.
We got it. If you all stuck around to the end of the episode, you got a treat, new names for new drinks. You're
We'll have to
welcome.
challenge Phil when he comes on. You know,
Yeah.
we'll each like create a wheel of time themed drink and see whose
Yeah.
is the best.
Right. Mine's gonna be the, uh, the hot mandragoran or whatever,
Ah,
and
I
hot.
knew you were gonna work that name in there. As soon as you said it, I was like, he's gonna call it the Mandragoran or something. You dirty white cloak, you.
Yeah. All right, everyone. That's been episode 84 of Popcast on the Rocks and our discussion of episode 1 through 3 of Wheel of Time. You should like us on Facebook, Instagram. No, not Instagram. Facebook, Twitter,
Twitter, yes,
YouTube,
please.
Twitch, follow all those things. Please leave a review on podcast directory of choice if you prefer to just listen in audio format, whatever you'd like. Leave comments. We'll get back to you on them. Maybe you love the difference in the land being a shorter dude, whatever.
Yeah.
So let us know. Um, Killing the Flower, the band. Thank you for our theme song. You can check them out on YouTube and Instagram and Spotify as well.
Mhm.
So thank you very much. And that's about it for us. We'll be back again in a week. Everybody have a good holiday break, hopefully. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Happy Drinksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Cheers, everybody.